Welcome back, guys, to the 13th day, the abandoned souls. First point, abandoned by their friends. Second point, abandoned by their relatives. First point, consider that in the depths of purgatory there are souls who are entirely abandoned, in whom no one takes any interest, and who suffer without any consolations. The church, it is true, never forgets any of its children, and the souls of whom we speak share with all the others in the prayers that this tender mother addresses each day to God in favor of the departed. But besides these prayers, which are offered for all, no other help comes to them from earth. In the first place, they are abandoned by their friends who had promised, nay, sworn in undying affection towards them. But as this affection was purely a human one, and mingled with much of self, it died away with the last sound of the funeral bell. What an addition to the sufferings of these poor prisoners is caused by their being so unexpectedly forsaken. Listen to the well-merited reproaches they address to those who so soon have forgotten the duties of friendship. Have pity on me, at least you, my friends. Job 19, verse 21. Saltem vos amici mei. We gave you so many proofs of our affection and attachment on earth, and you gave us so many assurances that you loved us tenderly. When we were dying, you promised, in bidding us farewell, that you would never forget us. But alas, you think of us no more, not a prayer, not an alms, not a tear. You have banished the remembrance of us from your heart, because we are out of sight. Oh, how little are human affections to be depended upon, which, as Bossuet says, vanish with the years. Christian soul, may not these reproaches be truthfully addressed to you? Do you ever think of the friends of your youth that death has taken away, and who are, perhaps, suffering now for having loved you too much? St. Francis of Sales says, "These dear departed, we forget them far too much, and nevertheless in life they loved us so. Well, may we fear to be forgotten in our turn, for it is written that he who forgets shall be forgotten. Si quis ignorabitur." Second point, abandoned by their friends. These poor souls of whom we speak are in like manner forsaken by their relatives, either because they have outlived them or because they have cast aside every feeling of charity and gratitude. Yes, they are forsaken by their father, their mother, their brothers, their sisters, and their heirs. And every side they look, they see nothing but forgetfulness. Forgetfulness of their lives, not even a sound or a word to recall them. Forgetfulness of their names, for no one ever pronounces them. Forgetfulness of their tombs, for no one visits them nor prays beside them. Forgetfulness of their deaths, for no one mourns them anymore. Forgetfulness of their sufferings beyond the grave, for no one even tries to alleviate them. Forgetfulness everywhere and forever. Poor souls, who can tell how long your sufferings will last? Who knows how much more time you have to spend in this terrible purgatory where no help comes to you? How much must this cruel forgetfulness add to their sufferings? With good reason, may they cry out in the words of the psalmist, "My friends and my neighbors have drawn near and stood against me, and they that were near me stood afar off." Psalms 37, 11, 12. I am forgotten as one dead from the heart. I am become as a vessel that is destroyed. Psalms 30, verse 13. Like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, they can say, "I looked for one that would comfort me, and I found none." Psalm 68, verse 21. Christian soul, pray often, give alms, and offer communions for the most abandoned souls. Be to them a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, a friend. Can you have a more worthy object for your zeal and charity? Someday they will pray for you, if, as it is not improbable, your relations and your heirs forget and forsake you. Example: a frightful crime was committed some years ago in a country village. A young man whose heart was corrupted by passion had the brutality, aided by an accomplice, to attempt the murder of his mother, and hoping to drown her, they threw her into a pond of muddy water. The poor woman struggled and stretched out her hands to her murderers, but the accomplice pushed her back when she tried to reach the bank. The son, villain as he was, when he saw his mother's arms extended towards him, the arms that had carried him when an infant, could not resist the voice of nature, and holding out his hand, he endeavored to drag her to the bank. And this would have succeeded had not his bloodthirsty companion suddenly forced her back into the water where she sank. In the invisible lake of purgatory, there will be found friends and relatives whom we could deliver, and who, alas, would not perhaps be there were it not through our fault. Yes, it is perhaps owing to us that a father, a mother, and a brother are suffering in that lake of fire. And whilst we, unmindful of them, are busy in the pursuit of pleasure, they are struggling in frightful torments. They weep, they implore, they stretch forth their hands to us, and shall we not deliver them? Poor souls, you are our sisters in Jesus Christ. We will be to you a father, a mother, a brother, and a sister. And the day will come when you also will come to our assistance. Prayer. O Jesus, abandoned by all, even by thy disciples in the Garden of Gethsemane, have pity on all the holy souls in purgatory, and in particular on those for whom no one offers any special prayer, who receive no comfort from the living, and whose anniversaries pass unheeded. Be their consoler and deliverer. O Jesus, call thy abandoned children to the bosom of their heavenly family. May they rest in peace. Requiescat in pace. And this is the end of day 13. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, and God bless.